An Ohio homeowner locked in a Christmas battle. This one is over a zombie nativity scene. We're not making this one up. It even has a zombie baby Jesus video proof. The guy works at a haunted house attraction, so he used what he had available. But the city of Deer Park, Ohio wants him to take it down. They say it is too close to the street. The homeowner says it is understandably attracting attention, positive and negative.
The neighbors don't like it. My father hates it. And anything bad that happens, he blames it on that. On the average, we probably get 30 or 40 cars stopping, taking pictures, getting out with their camera. People that follow zombie movies and stuff like that, they love it.
Understandable. Joining us now, criminal defense attorney Jay Abt and former prosecutor Robert Biaggi. Want to start with you. Is this a free speech issue, or is this a city understandably saying we have our codes and you can't put a nativity scene this close to the street? It doesn't matter whether it's zombie or something else.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether or not that, in fact, is true. But what's going to be important in these kinds of cases is whether or not there's a selective enforcement. And I read an interesting piece from the business administrator where he indicated we can't go up and down the street to do all these enforcement issues with people that aren't complying with the ordinance because there would just be too many people. It's going to be very clear, and it's clear to me, they're offended by the message. And if they're offended by the message, they have to understand the Constitution protects people's right to freedom of expression. The home and property is the most protected privilege in our Constitution. I believe as an attorney they're setting themselves up to a federal civil rights lawsuit.
So, Jay, obviously we're not going to discuss the psychology or taste level behind this situation. We'll stick to the legal basis of it here. But does a city have a right to say, all right, I'm sorry, you can't build something in this area? Or is free speech so broad that effectively they are going to lose this one?
They're going to lose it. Free speech is very broad because it's on private property. It's a First Amendment issue. It is not, there are lots of cases that deal with freedom of religion about where you can place nativity scenes, what they have to contain, what they can't contain. But those, like the U.S. Supreme Court cases in Allegheny versus ACLU, all deal with nativity scenes in the public arena, if you put it on government property or even in a public square. If it's on private property, if it's on his private home, the government really isn't going to be able to do much. It may be in bad taste, but free speech is going to prevail here. And there are restrictions on free speech. You can't yell fire in a theater. You can't defame someone. You can't put sexually obscene materials on your front lawn. But he's not crossing that line, and as a result, his neighbors are just going to have to live with his bad taste. And the city, they may be able to fine him if it's too close to the street or if the nativity scene is too big, but they're not going to be able to make him take it down because that is free speech. A good example of this is in Westboro, the Baptist church across the street. The homeowners all painted their homes in rainbow colors to protest the Westboro Baptist Church, and they tried to take legal action, and they were shot down. Even if it reduces property values, free speech on private property gives a lot of discretion to the homeowner.
You have a case like this where obviously to a number of neighbors to the town, it is so kind of patently offensive in many ways to beliefs that a lot of people hold very, very dear. At some level, it may not matter because Christmas is over, and by the time this works its way through the courts, the nativity scene is gone. But if this guy decides to leave it up for a while, is there anything the neighbors can do aside from voting with their feet?
No, I mean, this is the part of our Constitution that can get sticky. Unfortunately, freedom of speech means that you may not particularly like that speech. It may be offensive. It may be uncivil. But if you start to depreciate a person's right to free speech that's not endangering the community in any instance, then you do it for all instances. The town is in a very precarious position here. When I was the head county prosecutor, if I was reading this story, because ultimately this case will have to be prosecuted in a court of law, I would be making a friendly phone call to the mayor and to the law enforcement officials saying, do yourselves a favor before you wind up getting hit with a lawsuit and paying legal fees at the end of the day. Unfortunately, whether you're the Ku Klux Klan or...
And as you just pointed out, Robert and Jay, that the issue here also comes down to money and how much money the city is willing to spend on this. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We got to leave it there. Appreciate your time on this. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Merry Christmas, guys.
A non-zombie Christmas
Thanks
as
for
well.
having me.
Okay, great.
Thanks for having me.